Okay, we don't have a lot of time. My talk is going to go over. Well, I'll end there. So we're going to talk about the science of compatibility and the experience of it as well. So who am I and why am I doing this to you? So I've been overthinking love for like 25 years, right? I've been in 7 long-term relationships, about 15 short ones, and I was even engaged for a hot minute. And I created a class at Brown University in 2010 called The Science, Psychology, and Philosophy of How and Why We Fall in Love. Fun fact, Emma Watson was in that class. But we don't have time for the story. But my most recent qualification is that I was with somebody who said that we weren't compatible. And so I disagreed. And I did a 50-study meta-study on the current science of compatibility, which was an update from the things we learned in that class. Oh, there you are. All right, so why am I doing this at all? I had a feeling that like our notions of compatibility were just like fundamentally incoherent, right? There's like all of these ways that we think about compatibility, like similarities, spirituality, physical, media habits, right? Do they read the same books as me? Do they have blue eyes? Do they like public displays of affection? And it just occurred to me that like anybody under these weights, attention, anybody under these weights, like kind of doesn't make sense for anybody to be with anybody. And I think it feels that way sometimes too. By this logic, I don't think my parents were compatible. And yet I stand here today, right? And they're divorced. But how comforting that even in mathematical error, we can create something beautiful, right? And I think that's because people are not just collections of attributes, right? We're highly complex phenomena. Love isn't math, it's magic. The brain and love. How do we know that magic? Science is one good way to know it. So the brain goes through 3 different systems. The first one is, well, actually, before we get to that, all love shares the same neural address. Love happens at the same place in the brain, just a matter of intensity, right? And so where does it, you might think that romance, the sort of the theme of tonight, is the strongest expression of that. But it's not actually, it's parent-child, right? But a close second is romantic partnership. So it all happens in the same place, it's just about intensity. But there's a, already? Neurochemical arc. So it starts with dopamine and norepinephrine. This is the wanting, the craving, the kind of literal, the same pathways as cocaine, the feelings of addiction that we have when you fall in love with somebody, right? That moves on to oxytocin and vasopressin. These are pair bonding and attachment things, attachment neurochemicals. So when a woman has a child, releases a lot of oxytocin, it's a trust thing. That goes on to long-term attachment, endorphins, and the opioid system, which tells you nothing about how to navigate love, but they asked me to talk about it. Are we monogamous? I just don't think this is an interesting question anymore. I used to, and I just literally, I don't give a fuck. So, moving on. The skills revolution. So how do we know that the compatibility is built and not just found? Well, in 2020, there was a machine learning analysis across 43 longitudinal studies covering almost 12,000 folks. And what they found is that personality traits contribute to about 21% of satisfaction, but overwhelmingly, these relationship-specific variables contribute at 45%, right? So what do we mean when we say that? So I think that's, I just keep walking back and forth. So let's say that there's a personality trait of mine that I am not naturally fluent in words of affirmation. This was me in my early 20s, right? But there's something called communal motivation, the idea that I want to do something not because it's the first thing that I would think of for me, but because you want it, because you need it, in your interests. I can build a daily practice of verbal appreciation, right? Like, you're so smart, you're so beautiful, you're so powerful, right? And you should have been happier when I said that. Then your partner feels seen and satisfaction increases. So it doesn't have to do with the raw materials that you have or your essence or anything like that. It's what do you do with that? So what personality traits do affect quality? Well, we know that if you have a secure attachment style, or earn secure, which is when you have an anxious or avoidant or anxious avoidant attachment style, but you work on it towards security, that is a strong foundation from which to build a relationship, right? We also know that if you have emotional intelligence, the capacity to perceive, understand, and manage your emotions, that is a good foundation. And conscientiousness, are you just thinking about the other person, right? Are you reliable, follow through, self-regulated? So what attitudes and behaviors predict satisfaction in long-term relationships? The number one thing, perceived partner commitment. Are we in this together, right? Number one. Are we appreciating each other? Are we solving problems together collaboratively? Sexual satisfaction across cultures, very important. And that communal motivation plays a big role in that too. We could do a whole nother talk on that. Supportive dyadic coping. Are we dealing with dyadic, just between two people? Dealing with stress together under high loads. Can we do that effectively? Am I responsive to my partner's bids for connection? That builds resilience against depression, stress, vulnerability, all this stuff. And intimacy. Intimacy feeds satisfaction, which feeds intimacy. It's bidirectional. And then, so there's Arthur, this is a little more famous, Arthur Aaron's 36 questions that build intimacy as you go through them. But it doesn't just build the feeling of closeness, it builds this idea that I'm expanding myself in a direction in which I want to grow. So we should be in it. We should be appreciative. We should be collaborative, positive in our problem solving, oriented to behaviors that our partner needs, responsive to their bids to connection, and serious about intimacy both emotionally and physically. So we should ask less, do we agree on this as our notion of compatibility, and more, how well do we manage the inevitable disagreement do we have? The Gottmans show that it's not just the quality of our repair, but the willingness to connect, to reconnect, that is one of the strongest predictors of satisfaction. Okay, so I've mostly said that similarity doesn't matter. That's not entirely true, but it's also not what you think. Perceived similarity clearly predicts positive outcomes, while actual similarity, how similar you actually are, is modest and inconsistent with relationship quality or stability, right? And that's from a different study. So it doesn't matter if we're actually similar. It matters, do I think we're similar? Do I think we're the same? This means that attitudinal attunement, another choice you can make, can improve relationship stability. Am I choosing to index on what is similar about us? Am I willing to believe in that story? So there are some things about similarity that again, do matter here. And one of the biggest ones is, do we have the shared values and socio-political attitudes? It's consistent, replicable across cultures. Do we have the same idea of what it means to be alive and how to live life, right? That is a strong predictor. Educational attainment and cognitive ability. Do we respect each other's intelligence? Religious orientation predicts stability, but it does not necessarily predict quality. And then the rest, almost nothing. So what do we do with this? So after tonight, you're trying to figure out what does compatibility look like? So you're looking, is somebody that I'm talking to secure or on their way to earn secure attachment style? Do they have genuine communal motivation? Are they doing things because we want and need them? Do we have shared core values? And that is, again, a really deep topic. Or do they have a growth orientation to the relationship themselves? Do they believe that if you work on a relationship, it can improve? So much of this is attitudinal, and attitudes are often a choice. But you don't get out of it clean. You have to work on yourself. Are you the kind of person who is secure or insecure? Are you the kind of person who is engaging in repair and positive conflict? Are you the kind of person that is responsive to partners and operating to communal motivation? So no one's perfect, we all make mistakes, but you have to be willing to keep growing together. For tonight, be yourself, be present, be vulnerable, be curious, right? Don't forget you're looking for a spark. That's something that no amount of neurochemical explanation can provide. And the last things, long-term love isn't rare because it's impossible, but because it takes both people to keep choosing each other. You can still build something beautiful without the math. Love isn't math, it's magic!